Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's been doing really well. It's not a surprise that I'm a huge tech guy. If anyone's tuned into my social media over the years, you'll see things like computers and laptops and tablets and different adapters and all sorts of stuff that runs my life. And one of the questions I get most often is, hey, tell us about the computers you use for gaming, or what kind of technology do you take with you to work? And in this video, I'm going to try to summarize as much as I can about my smart apartment, the things that I take on the go, the computers I use at home for programming and gaming and just media consumption, and hopefully answer any questions you guys may have in the comments. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, when I first got started coming up with this smart apartment, I live in the same apartment I lived in as a resident. So I'm trying to use that early part of being an attending to save up a lot of money. But I thought I would step it up a little bit because I'm not a resident or a fellow anymore. And one of the first things I got was this Ecobee thermostat. I needed to pick a platform. So if anyone's into smart homes, they know that between like the Apple HomeKit setup and Google's thing and Amazon's thing, there's a lot of different versions of smart homes out there. And they're trying to eventually settle on a universal standard. But because I had a MacBook, an Apple Watch, a iPad, iMac Pro and all this thing, I kind of settled in the Apple ecosystem and naturally wanted to find products that were HomeKit compatible. So that's why I picked the Ecobee. And it's cool because in the morning you can get a forecast, you can change your thermostat when you're not even at home. That's kind of the whole point of a smart home. Now, walking to the gaming computer, I've built probably 4 computers over my life. Some of them were gaming computers, some of them were these Hackintoshes, because I was too poor to afford an actual Apple computer when I was a trainee. But this one was built when I moved here about a year ago. And I built this thing with a Core i9 processor, a GTX 2700 Super graphics card. It's got an open case design. So yes, it does accumulate dust, but I do clean it out pretty well. And the perk, the biggest selling point of this gaming rig is the monitor. It's a 49-inch ultra-wide screen Dell. It's basically like having 2 1080p monitors next to each other. And it's awesome because it helps me get a better vantage point during gaming. So whether I'm playing Flight Simulator or Rocket League, I just get a better view of everything. I have a PlayStation DualShock controller. I have an Anker power brick that I use to charge primarily this camera, but on the go as well. And then I've got a SteelSeries gaming headphone, as well as a mouse, and then a Logitech gaming mechanical keyboard. But I can't leave this area of the apartment without looking up on top at all the boxes. Yes, I'm a huge nerd, but these are a lot of the boxes of the tech that runs the apartment and my mobile tech on the go. So eat your heart out for anyone who didn't already know I was a huge nerd. So now we're going to make our way to the entertainment center. This is pretty much in the living room area in the center of the apartment. First thing we're going to look at is my storage server. There are 4 Western Digital RAID drives in here in a RAID 10 configuration for parity and for mirroring in case of data loss. All my important data is stored on this server and mirrored to other places in the cloud that I can access anywhere in the world. So this is where I store all my media, and I can use Plex servers to send it to my TVs or my computers. This is where I store my music and Final Cut data and important documents and books and things like that. But it's kind of this backbone of the data in my life. It's driven by a gigabit internet connection, and this is key for a smart home and for having access to files in my computers from abroad. If you have a slow internet connection, besides slowing down that access, it's going to slow down your gaming, and then you're going to get pwned by noobs, and that's never a good thing. The TV in the center is a Samsung QLED that I got when I first moved into this apartment about a year ago, and it's a nice TV, but there's a nicer one I'm going to get to in a second. The Apple TV that drives it is a 4K unit, which is the hub for the entertainment system in this apartment. And the Philips Hue bridge also sits behind the TV, and that's what drives all the smart lighting, as well as some of the other features in the apartment. The most important thing I got actually was the Bose soundbar. And I got this just before COVID started, and it's changed everything. Now, when I'm making coffee in the morning, I can listen to some music, or if I'm winding down, I can listen to some relaxing study music. While I'm watching TV, it certainly amplifies the experience of certain movies and sports and things like that. As far as the actual TV subscription I have, it's YouTube TV. I don't really watch that much TV. I don't have Netflix or anything like that. Ever since the NBA started back up, I'm all up in that. Hopefully the rest of the sports leagues will start back up soon. But otherwise, I really just don't watch too much TV. All right, so next we're gonna go to the bedroom, and the big thing here is the TV there. So this is an OLED TV that I got around Christmas time. It's a LG OLED 55-inch TV that I mounted on the wall, again with TV lights behind it, just like the one in the living room. And then I ran a cable down with a cable cover just because I couldn't run it in the wall. This is an apartment, and I didn't want to take the time to go through the wall or anything like that. But anyways, it's a super cool TV. It uses very little power in idle mode. And I usually, when I'm about to go to bed, if there's a late night sports game, that's where I'll watch it just before I go to bed. Okay, last but not least is this thing right here. So I told myself when I was younger that I was never going to buy a Apple desktop because they're overpriced. They don't, the performance doesn't justify the price, things like that. Well, I ended up doing it anyways. So I'm at a point in my career where I'm just like making Hackintoshes and things like that was fun when I was growing up, but now I just wanted to invest in something that's reliable and has a warranty in case something goes wrong. So I got an upgraded iMac Pro right here in the middle, and adjacent to it are two 27-inch 4K monitors in a vertical position, obviously. And the reason is because as a programmer, vertical scrolling through programming lines or through websites and things like that is way, way, way easier in a vertically oriented monitor compared to horizontal, which is better for things like gaming and media consumption. Okay, so let's go through the other things on my desk. First thing is this Ember mug. It was a gift, and it's perfect because I'm a very slow coffee and tea drinker. So invariably, all my drinks get cold. This thing keeps it warm. I don't take it to work with me because the battery life is kind of short and I didn't want to buy a second charger, but this is great for days that I'm off sipping on coffee over the course of like 6 hours and I just don't want it to get cold. So this is a real cool gift. I've got pens, of course. I've got my Apple keyboard. I've got a new Logitech MX3 Master for Mac, and that's what I've been using for the last week. It's kind of changed my workflow. There's a thumb scroll ball for horizontal scrolling, and that really has changed things a lot more than I expected. And I think it's a lot more feature-filled than the Apple mouse, the Magic Mouse 2 that I was using right before. As far as the camera I'm using, obviously I'm using it. I can't like show it to you guys at the same time, but it's a Sony a6400 mirrorless camera with a Deity D3 Pro microphone and a LED light and just a general tripod. So I really, really like this camera. I've never had a real camera ever, like ever. I've only used my smartphone cameras. So when I got into YouTube now, I'm using an actual camera. The lens I'm using is actually kind of cool. It was very highly recommended. It's a Sigma 1.4 lens, and it's able to get me kind of this face view and sort of blur out the background, just perfect for vlogging in YouTube. So I really like it. Other things I have are the Blue Yeti microphone that I use for podcasting and occasionally for voiceovers in YouTube. I've got the charger for my Butterfly IQ ultrasound, and I've got a wireless charger for my iPhone. So that kind of rounds out what's on my desk. It's not too complicated, but I use everything, and that's the point. I'm not gonna buy it unless I use it. Okay, so finally, the most important things are the things I take with me every day. So these are the things that I can't live without. I used to take these things everywhere in Boston, walking around with my little messenger bag right here. And I still wear this thing pretty much everywhere I go. This is a nomadic tech case, and it's just big enough for me to carry all my stuff to work as well as around the city. So what do I actually put in here? Well, one of the first things that I take to work with me is the Butterfly IQ ultrasound. So this is a portable ultrasound that I use for teaching primarily. I haven't really been using it this day and age because of COVID, just because of decontamination and all that. But this is not the best ultrasound at any one exam, but it is a very good ultrasound at many exams. And that's what I tell people who are interested in buying this. I use it for point of care ultrasound at the bedside, for fast exams, for cardiac exams, for lung exams, and everything in between. So this is really revolutionizing diagnostics at the bedside. And this is something that I really want to teach with my residents and fellows going into the future, because this is something that in 10 years from now is going to become standard of care for diagnostics. These are my AirPods Pros. I love these things. They're way more portable than my Bose noise canceling headphones. I love these things too. The battery life is much longer, the noise cancellation is much better, and I use it for things like air travel, but these are amazing for on the go. They're small, they're very compatible with all my Apple devices. The noise cancellation is pretty good, and the transparency mode's awesome, so highly recommend. And the engraving was free, so that was pretty cool too. I've got my wallet. This is a Trove wallet, custom with my logo on there. I don't really carry too much in the way of cards and things like that because I'm all about using like Apple Pay whenever I can, but it's got like my driver's license in there for what that's worth. This thing is pretty much the backbone of my tech wherever I travel. So this is an iPad Pro. It's got an Apple Pencil 2, it's got a little custom sleeve on there, and it's got a Magic Keyboard along with paper-like screen protector. So this thing is an incredible education tool. I try to use this thing in the ICU and operating room as much as I can with my residents and fellows. This is one of the apps that I really, really like. It's called Complete Heart. But there's a whole series of things. In here, for example, this is where I do all my illustrations. So if anyone has ever wondered how I make my diagrams and things like that, it's using an app called GoodNotes and drawing on there with my Apple Pencil. So I take this with me wherever I go, unless I feel like I'm going to need something a little bit more powerful. And in that case, that's where I'm going to reach for my MacBook. So this is a 13-inch MacBook Pro that I got in, I think, 2017. And it gets the job done. I don't really feel a reason to upgrade at this point, especially with Apple Silicon on the horizon. But this thing has served its purpose. It's running Big Sur right now, the beta version of it, the new version of Apple's Mac OS. And it's what I use at home primarily when I'm not using one of my desktop computers. Apple iPhone, this is not the 11, this is the XS Max actually, and this has been powering my life for about the last 2 years or so. And I'm looking forward to the Apple iPhone 12 because it's going to be 5G and hopefully have 120 hertz refresh rate. So we'll have to see about that. I'm not sure yet. And then this is also the previous generation Apple Watch 4 that I've been using for the last 2 years or so as well. Might upgrade that to the Apple Watch 6 when that iPhone 12 comes out as well. As far as other medical things I carry with me, this is the Littman Cardiology Master stethoscope. I use this preoperatively on my patients as well as in the ICU to examine patients at the bedside. I've got a whole slew of cables here that I take with me, but the important thing about this is actually the RAV power brick. It's got 90 watts of gallium nitride charging in here, and it's got 2 USB-C ports, so you can connect adapters to there and really charge things on the go very quickly. So that rounds out my tech. And I didn't go through all things, like I've got a trash can that automatically opens, a fancy coffee grinder and all that stuff. But if you all have any other specific questions, feel free to drop me a comment below with recommendations too. I'd love to know what you guys are using for similar purposes. I'll leave blog posts as well with links to all of the hardware that you all saw in this video. Please subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.